Three big stories to break down today. We discuss all things Mauricio Pochettino as finally he is officially presented as our new manager, and we have to break down Pochettino's first interview after being announced. To move on, we have some surprising breaking updates around Livramento, as talk suggests that we are hoping to sign him, and obviously we discuss some very exciting reports around Rayan Cherki of Lyon. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, let's be ambitious, and let's try and get 3k likes. I kind of feel like I need to go past 2k now. I need to get to that 3k barrier. So if you're enjoying the content this summer, then my friends, you know what to do already. So without wasting any more time. So right now, let's discuss the surprising report of this evening. And we talk Livramento because it has been reported by the Daily Mail that we are currently in talks with Southampton to re-sign our old academy grads. And once we re-sign him, the plan would be to loan him back to Southampton for next season. Now, when we sold him to Southampton around 2 years ago for around like £8 million, there was like a hefty sell-on percentage in that deal. And I'm assuming that the club feel like this is the best opportunity now to try and re-sign a player that we once owned. I mean, we can't forget Livramento's breakout season in the Premier League. Like, this kid was doing special things. I think in like his first 2-3 games of that season, he already picked up a Man of the Match awards against Man United, and he got so bitterly unlucky that he picked up a nasty knee injury that ruled him out for up to over 1 year, which is just crazy. But thank God for like modern advancements now in sports science. Players that sustain injuries like this, they do come back. And obviously last season, he came back. He made appearances near the end of last season. And right now, he's fit and healthy. He wants to get back to playing his football. But I guess the thing on all our minds right now is, why are we making this move? Like, don't we need to sign a goalkeeper? Have you not just signed Malo Gusto from Lyon? Like, what's actually going on? Now, I've got my own personal theories. As we know, Newcastle are trying to sign him for this summer. They had their first bid turned down of around £12 million. It was way too low. They've made a counter offer of around £21 million, but Southampton feel like they can earn a lot more from this deal. And my thing is, if Livramento was sold, only clubs like Newcastle and others of that stature would be going for him. So there's like a potential risk involved here where, let's say anything happens to Reece James, or let's say we had new ideas for Reece, like maybe playing in midfield, because Reece can also do that. We don't want to be in a position, I guess, where, you know, we miss out on like one of the potential premium right wing back talents in Europe. And maybe the thinking is, listen, Malo Gusto is exciting, he's a great promise. Obviously, with how we structure deals to sign these guys, you know, we can afford to take that risk of signing tons of young players, knowing the fact that if certain moves do not work out, with how we like account for their book values, we could find very good ways to sell these guys on without really being affected by the books. So obviously the fact that we'd hope to sign Livramento and then loan him back to Southampton tells me two things. Number one, can we find like, you know, reduced terms to sign this guy? Because of course we do have the first right refusal in the clause that actually sold Livramento to Southampton to begin with. And obviously the fact that he'd be loaned out for one full season before coming back, it does get you having questions now around Reece James. Of course, Real Madrid interest will never die down. It won't go away. Is there something happening behind the scenes? I'd like to think not. Or maybe we're assessing how Malo Gusto does. Let's say he potentially struggled for us. Could the idea be that we want to make sure that we still have our options open? And by turning to Livramento, you know, by allowing him to, you know, get back a full season again to start getting reacclimatized to life and football, he could be ready to explode afterwards. And you guys have known my thoughts and opinions. I've been telling you that this guy is the Koba Makimi for years. I told you guys how like special this talent is. It's no surprise to me why he has so much interest at this point in time. And if there's an opportunity for this guy to come back, I'm not going to say no, to be fair with you, you know. Surprising news, very surprising news. But I guess we continue to watch this space. So my friends, share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about this news? Is this like making no sense? Or is there like some strategy behind this? Is this like a 4D chess move that we're not seeing right now? Where do you guys feel on this? Let us know below. After weeks and weeks and weeks, we finally get our first words from our new manager in Mauricio Pochettino. And you know what? There's a certain word that I don't tend to use very often. I kind of feel like with words here, you know, they can't just lose their value so easily. Like, you can only use certain words to describe like certain people or events or things. And, that word is aura. I feel like this word is slapped around a lot of times, but I felt like today, my friends, I think Mauricio Pochettino was the embodiment of aura, of assurance, of, listen, I'm not fazed by this. Like, I've been here, I've done it before, I'll keep on doing it. And just how he carried himself too. I'm not gonna lie, goosebumps is a strong word. I wasn't getting that, but I had a lot of reassurance and optimism just grow out from nowhere. And I think Pochettino absolutely smacked things in his first interview. And I guess it only makes sense to discuss some of the key talking points that came from his first words. And I like how he started things off, right? It was very much like pro Chelsea FC. And as we know, he's wanted this job for years. From when he was doing bits at Spurs, Roman Abramovich turned to him before Mauricio Sarri, and he's been just on the periphery, behind the scenes, getting interviews here and there when vacancies are open. But I do feel like this guy is the right appointment. I'll discuss why later on. But let's start with what he said. As he says, for me, it is a pleasure and honour to now be involved with Chelsea Football Club. We are excited, and I know Chelsea very well. It's one of the greatest clubs in the world, so of course it was easy for us to make the decision to move here. He said comments like, we are the greatest team in the last 10, 12, 15 years in England. We're the best team in London, and it's a prem, and he knows what the culture of this club means most importantly. So if you're a Spurs fan, you're feeling just absolutely betrayed right now, but the game's the game, my friends, and obviously Pochettino had to level up. He had to step up, he had to come and sign for us. And I really feel really optimistic by his first words. Now, Pochettino was very complimentary towards the owners, the club, and of course, he mentioned how young our squad is by saying, a very young squad for the next season that he's excited to work with. But he wants to work with these guys from a different approach than the past. And that really excites me. I'm hoping this implies that he wants to bring out their best qualities, to really encourage them to express themselves the best, to play their games. I kind of feel like with our youth experiments recently, let's say a guy shines playing as a left winger or as an 8. He's told to do a different role for the sake of the team. And I think to myself, how does that necessarily allow the individual player to really grow in his position and role and really go to that next level? I'm not too sure. But Pochettino knows how to bring team unity. He knows how to get his teams firing. So if he has unique ideas to bring to this club, I'm fully open to them. Now, Poch mentioned that he wants his staff, he wants the people, he wants the players to feel at home around him. And I understand these comments. Pochettino is really, really big about creating an atmosphere in the squad, which he really emphasized a lot in his interview. And it makes a lot of sense to me. If you have a lot of young, developing personalities and players, you want to encourage that self-belief, right? You want to encourage that type of professionalism. You want them to fully be their best selves. And you want these guys to get used to familiar to, expectations and demands of life at the very best clubs. You have to remember, a lot of these guys aren't the finished article right now, but in the next 2 to 3 years, they can be there. And Pochettino is someone that can boost them not only technically, but mentally as well too. Now, one aspect of this interview that I did like was when Pochettino said this. He said that for himself and for his staff, they like to be innovative and they draw them inspiration from football in the past as well as modernity in the game. With modernity basically being things like, data, technology, sports science, etc., etc. And when he said this, it reminded me of this series I used to really love on Netflix called Chef's Table. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but one thing that I just took from that series when, they're basically interviewing the process of the very best chefs in the world to have 3 Michelin stars and stuff like that. And when you understand the journey of how these guys got to those positions, they literally would embrace recipes and history from their ancestors in the past, whilst giving them a new, refreshed, modern take. And I kind of feel that's a good principle in life, right? To understand what came before and also what comes tomorrow, they can be equally compatible. And as Pochettino says, listen, I would accept all the latest gadgets and tech in the game to get my advantage, but at the same time, I'm about my footballing instincts and I use them together to work together. And I like that because with Pochettino and his training demands, these guys are going to be suffering. It's going to be an incredible boot camp for most of these players. And already you're seeing a lot of these guys are preparing for pre-season. And I really feel like this really encapsulates Mauricio Pochettino. And you know what? It's a very different type of manager that we're having now. I'm really open to his ideas, to seeing what he can do. You know, I trust this guy's experience and his willingness, of course, to come here, and the confidence he has behind himself too. So we see what he does during preseason. And then tomorrow, my friends, I'm going to release a massive video, 5 things that Pochettino has to do during preseason. So my friends, share your thoughts and opinions behind Poch's first words in his interview. And before we move on, we have another big story to discuss. And let's talk Rayan Cherki of Lyon. Now, this report came from The Guardian this evening, and it mentions that we are also assessing Cherki due to his creative excellence and the fact that the club got wooed by his recent performances in the Under-21 European Championships. So I'm sure all of us have seen Cherki play for the French Under-21 team. The guy is mesmerizing. The guy is a talent. He's one of those players where, you know, he's basically just toying with his opponents on the field. He is that good. He does have that much faith in himself, in his talents. And, you know, he plays the game at a different pace that only the very, very, very best players are able to do. And you think to yourself, right, are these reports surprising? Obviously, we know that Lyon are trying to sign Christian Pulisic. They've offered more money compared to AC Milan's 12 million, but the payment structures and installments that they want to use aren't good enough, and we're rejecting that. And Pulisic prefers to go to AC Milan. But at the same time, it's been revealed that Todd Bowley has a very good relationship with the American owner of Lyon. And Lyon must also raise revenue by selling talents and players too. In the case of Rayan Cherki, he does have 1 year left on his deal, but there is like an option to like automatically like extend the contract by a further year, which I think he already activated by playing games last season for Lyon. So that's what we know about the story so far. I'd imagine that this will continue to kind of just like grow and grow and grow. But if you guys been following me on Twitter for a long time, for some reason, like maybe I think 2-3 years ago, I'm not even lying, I literally had a dream that we were playing like a Champions League semi-final against Bayern. I think Rayan Cherki came off the bench in my dream and he was playing for us. And like since that day, I just had this like weird thing of, have I manifested the future? Because if that's the case, yeah, I feel like these next few years might be different for me, to be honest. But going back to Cherki, I kind of just feel like that type of talent and profile, they're like the very special players, man. And I feel like Cherki's in that same class as like a Musiala and a Pedri, of just like the game's ultimate technicians right now. And I find it kind of interesting that a lot of these types of modern day players coming through right now, they excel playing in central positions and areas. And I kind of feel like with how defensive the game's become, you know, this like onus on like protecting spaces and, you know, covering zones, restricting space, etc, etc. You know, you need to have like elite, not even, I don't know what to call them, I think it's like a level above elite, but you need to have like technicians in the field that can, you know, play with that instincts, where, you know, you can't really defend against that if a guy that you're playing against can just make anything up as he's going along. And I feel like Cherki, this is where he's like a very fascinating player to me. Now, I might sound cynical, but I either see him becoming like an Eden Hazard or like a Hudson Ben Arfa, in the sense of, you know, right now they're saying that he is the #1 talent, or one of the best ever talents produced in Lyon's academy. And this is like, that's a big statement. This is the academy that produced Karim Benzema. But when you see how Cherki plays, you know, he's ambidextrous, the left foot, the right foot, combined with like a stocky type of frame that has like exquisite low center of gravity and balance and just like understanding. Is he that small that everything just looks bigger for him? And that's why he can do things that other players can't do. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But wow, is this kid's like a maestro, honestly. You can't really defend against him. He's been playing more as like an attacking mid for Lyon, but he's excelled a lot more compared to playing out wide on the right hand side. But I think to myself, if this is Pochettino and you've got like 2 fullbacks bombing forwards, you know, spreading the space, Cherki can easily play in the lines and kind of roam and play in the hard spaces and all that kind of stuff as well too, right? So I feel like tactically he wouldn't be someone that'd be difficult to fit into this current team. At the same time, I do think like, is it like a bit too early going in for him? I know that, you know, the season before last, he had a nasty injury. He was out for 6 months, and that's kind of slowed down progress a little bit. But we can't forget this guy made his debut at around 16 years old, so he's been playing in the Lyon first team now for 3 years, as he's just turned 19. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel more confident if he had like a proper breakthrough season at Lyon, which I think right now is on the cusp of doing. I think he ended the season phenomenally well. The Euros right now, for the under-21s, he's doing absolute bits. And he has those uncoachable qualities that you, like I said, you can't really coach them. I just think that instinct, understanding of space, you know, the carrying skills, the dribbling skills. I mean, he can be a bit over flamboyant, but I think at this age, you want to encourage that style of game because that's going to create the separation between your Cherkis and other guys in the future. But I think that for signing talents like this, I think Pochettino is a manager that knows how to challenge talents of this age and help them achieve their potential and go to that next level. Because I think with Cherki, sometimes the game can be too easy for him where, you know, his focus isn't always there. Like, he can have like quiet games and he can have like phenomenal games. And I'm thinking about his game versus Lille where he's just like out of this world. So he has those performances in him to do that on a consistent basis. And with the reports saying that he'll go between 30 to 40 million. For a talent like this, when there's no real competition right now, would we be crazy to not go for Cherki right now? You guys share your thoughts and opinions, but I'm kind of imagining and expecting that I'll discuss this story a lot more as this window goes on. So I'll save a lot more thoughts I have behind this for future vids. So my friends, that is the end for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm NiniFC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.